Probably helped if I turned on the microphone. I'm so good at this. Oh.
ここからは少し専門的な話になりますが。
I hope there's more optical illusions. I love those.
患者に説明するように分かりやすく簡潔に話してもらえるとありがたい。
努力しましょう。さて、人間の脳の中にある何億という脳細胞。それらは細い神経の糸を出し合って、それぞれに手をつないでいるような格好をしています。
I'm in the middle of something. I just started. Behave yourself. Please. I beg of you.
しかし実際には各神経の先端にある手と手の間にはごくわずかな隙間が空いているんですよ。脳細胞に情報の電気信号が送り出されると、その神経の手のひらから極小の物質ドーパミンがボールのように飛び出してきます。
I am familiar with this concept.
それは反対側の神経の手のひらにキャッチされ、再度情報の電気信号に変わってまた隣の脳細胞に伝わっていく。脳の構造は簡単に言うとその繰り返しです。我が社が開発した第2世代ノア2はこの部分に干渉することで人に疑似的な映像を見せることを可能としました。
ホログラムのようなものか。
あるいは幻覚かな。
幻覚の方が近いでしょう。ですが明確に違う点として、その疑似的映像は確かな存在感があるものとして映るということです。人間の目、視覚というのは実に興味深いものです。視野は単眼の場合、鼻側60度、耳側100度程度、両眼の重複視野は120度で、周辺視野を含めれば180度から200度もの視界が広がっているんです。その一方で、以前ご説明したようなデッドスポットもまた存在する。
Yeah, that screwed me up. Yes, not yesterday. A couple days ago. I broke my brain. That was weird. I've been showing everyone I know.
脳にとって視覚と
I
は
have to share this
最も
information.
つながりの深い部位です。脳はそのおよそ 80% を視神経情報の処理のためだけに使っている。
その点については300人委員会も注目しておる。
人間の視覚にはまだまだ謎が多い。世界中で研究テーマとして上がっているものだけでも1000以上に及ぶからね。
アメリカで数年前に発行された行政命令、機密の人体研究に対する保護の強化というのは委員会による圧力ですか？
圧力ではない。これは選定だよ。
Forgot to plug this in. That's gonna be important, possibly.
300人委員会はどこの馬の骨とも知れん研究者がこの分野に足を踏み入れることを歓迎せん。当然ながらアメリカだけではなく世界各国にも同様の指示は出ている。
我が国は随分自由のようですね。私のような人間を放置しているぐらいですから。
勘違いしてはいかんな。何のために我々がいると思っている？
君はすでに選定済みなんだよ。だからこそ君には何よりも成果が求められている。300
人委員会をも出し抜けるような成果 というわけですね。
うかつな口を聞くなと言っておる。
今はまだ我らの真の目的を誰にも悟られてはならない。たとえ委員会に対してもね。
これは失礼。
説明を続けたまえ。
ノア2が生み出した疑似的映像は視神経パルスに変換して電磁波として照射します。対象の皮膚や頭蓋骨を貫通して直接ドーパミン受容体、つまり先ほどの説明でいうところの手のひらにキャッチさせるのです。そしてデッドスポットへと最終的に落とし込まれる。特に G レートの高いエリアの人々は空中の映像パルス信号を敏感にキャッチします。混乱した脳はその疑似的映像を現実だと判断することになります。これが人間の視界の中に無から有を作り出すメカニズムです。ノア2を用いれば街中のどこを見ても先生の選挙ポスターだらけなどという芸当も容易というわけです。ただしあくまで人々のバイオリズムが高い状態であることが条件ですが。
What? I know it's just using an example, but at that point, wouldn't it be easier and reach more people if you just put actual posters up? I know it's just using an example, but still, like that seems highly inefficient.
幻覚によって意志を誘導するか。沈黙の兵器とシステムは同じというわけだね。
Silent weapons. System for enacting mind control on a global scale. The use of such weapons would turn the entire human race, with the exception of a few chosen elites, into slaves. Based on a top-secret document discovered in America entitled Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. That's terrifying. And then dopamine. I know what dopamine is.
条件さえ満たせば対象の見ている世界を自在に書き換えることができる。
それはギガロマニアックスと同等の力ということか。
Gigalomaniacs?
その通りです。ノア2は機械仕掛けのギガロマニアックスと言ってもいいでしょう。
Have they used that term before and I don't remember? Should I know what a gigalomaniac is yet? Or is this like... Is this introducing the term? I know what a megalomaniac is.
理論値通りに稼働を
I
始めれば
guess it would just be a bigger one of
ギガロマニアックスたち
those?
と同等、いや近い将来それ以上の能力を再現できるようになります。
だが
It
効果
doesn't
の
seem
有
to be.
効範囲はどうなっている。電磁波は垂れ流しなのかね。
それでは汎用性という点がおろそかになる。我々は無差別な洗脳を望んでおるわけではない。対象は選定できなければ無意味だぞ。
ご心配なく。そのために機能因子を用意してあります。モニターをご覧ください。
なんだこの小汚い連中は。
Well, that's not very nice.
我が社ではポーターと呼んでいます。言い換えればマインドコントロールのための部隊といったところでしょうか。
They're the, or that guy that sent a hooked up was one of them. Okay. I mean, I know what mind control. I don't know why I'm looking at this. But I'm already here though, so I'm gonna read it. A technique where someone is guided to certain predetermined conclusion while believing that they came to the conclusion of their own free will. Unlike brainwashing, mind control does not involve a clear use of force. If someone on the street speaks to you, claiming to be a palm reader, and later you find yourself asked to join a cult and feeling like you can't refuse, you've just experienced a form of mind control. What? I don't see the connection there at all. Am I dumb? Am I just dumb? I might just be dumb. Claim to be a palm reader, and later you find yourself asked to join a cult and feeling like you can't refuse. The way it's phrased implies that this is a thing that happens. Is this a thing that happens? Or is this a hypothetical? And even if it does I don't get it. I wish I hadn't read that. My brain hurts.
ノア2のパルス波を送受信するためのポートが入っています。ポートは信号を受け取るとリモートで周囲へと放出するわけです。
歩く端末というわけか。それならば有効範囲の制限などないに等しいな。
限定的使用も問題ないことになるね。
状況は理解した。貴様は引き続き計画を続行したまえ。
ただし300人委員会に悟られるような言動はくれぐれも慎むように。
あとは何人犠牲を出そうと構わん。
ご理解いただきありがとうございます。それではポーターとして使える人材を提供していただきたいです。
手配しよう。
それと引き続き先生方にはメディアのコントロールをお願いいたします。すべては我ら3人の目指す理想のために。
Back to this. Oh boy. I don't want to see it again. I don't want to see it again. I hope they don't show it again because I don't want to see it again. They're probably going to show it again. Yes, my dear.
聞こえてるよ、セーラタン。
He may or may not have completely broken.
ゲーム？
ナナミッチはタッキーの大事な妹だってのはわかるけど、きっともう手遅れだよ。
そんなことないよ。
This isn't the Sarah 10 I've come to know and love.
だって腕を切り落とされちゃったらさ、普通出血多量で死んじゃうっしょ。ゲームだったら違うかもだけど。
なんでナナミが。
もうさ、ゲームオーバーなんだよ、きっと。早くゲームをやめないと、もっとたくさん人が死んじゃう。
でもセーラタンだって悪いやつと戦ってるじゃないか。
Are there eyes on her knees? Am I? Oh God, she has. I'm just noticing her design. I don't know why this is the first time I've noticed her design. There are eyes. She has eyes everywhere. There are eyes on the top of her leggings. There are eyes on the top of her sleeves, and there's an eye on her hat. I don't like her costume. I think I don't like her costume. I don't know why I just noticed that. I don't like it. There. Has that been like that the whole time? I don't like that outfit. It's creepy. I stuffed the Sarah 10 figure into my uniform pocket.
助けなきゃ。僕が。
I brought Sarah 10 to keep me safe. Normally, I'd never walk around with a figure in my pocket. It might get damaged after all. Letting his wife be destroyed is the worst thing an otaku can do. But now, I didn't have it in me to follow my own policy. I needed something to keep me sane. Of course, I might be dead by this time tomorrow. I looked down at Saratan once more. Her head was poking out of my pocket. It helped me keep the tears from pouring out. Then somebody slammed into me from behind, and I staggered forward. I looked back and saw a Dakun-type man looking at me, annoyed, but he disappeared into the crowd without saying another word. I looked around. I was in Shibuya's Scramble Crossing. It was hard to believe that it was 9 p.m. on a weekday, particularly only a few hours after an earthquake where over 100 people had died. There was an ocean of people around me. Just waiting for the light made me feel like I was going to suffocate. There were people everywhere, on all sides of me. I didn't know why, but the media was out here too. There were people with big TV cameras stepping out into the road, blocking traffic. The big lights they used for filming were everywhere, and they were blindingly bright. Several people who looked like newscasters were rapidly speaking into cameras. There were a few officers in uniform trying to keep the pedestrians and media out of the road, but the whole situation was out of control. The road was almost completely shut down from all the people on it. Was there an event or something going on? On a day like this, at this time of night? How could they hold something like that on a day where over 100 people had died? Did they not have the common decency to call it off? And why were the media here along with them? If its people were like this, Japan were doomed. Oh my god, it's too early. Not even 20 minutes have passed. Japan was doomed, is what it says. Not that it mattered to me.
助けなきゃ。僕が助けなきゃ。
Shogun had sent me to O-Front, a building right in the middle of Scramble Crossing. It was the one with the Tatsuya and the Starbucks. That's my favorite thing in all of fiction is the fake copyright avoidant parody names. I love Starbucks. I love I think McDonald's was one from something. I can't remember what, but I love them. I love them all. I hadn't actually planned on going on my own, but I couldn't get a hold of Rimi at all. And the police might still think I was the new gen killer, so I couldn't go to them either. I was running out of time as I tried to figure out what to do. In the end, I got so worried about Nanami that I came here alone, with Seiratan close at hand for protection. I worked my way through the crowds inside O-Front. It was pretty crowded inside too, but I was too distracted to even care. All I could think about was Nanami's safety. I headed up the escalator to the floor above. There were big windows in the Starbucks that let you see out into the square below. When I looked out of them, I could see just how many people there were in Scramble Crossing. It felt like everyone in the crowd was waving their arms or jumping up and down. An ocean of dark-haired heads roiled and bobbed beneath me. God. It was way brighter than it had been when I was down there. I started to wonder if all the lights below were facing toward the building I was in. Every time I took the escalator up another floor, my heart started pounding faster and faster. I took out my phone and checked the time. It was 9:01. If Shogun got mad that I was late and killed Nanami, I shivered and ran up the escalator, pushing past the people in front of me. Halfway up, I switched to using the elevator and took it to the top floor. I didn't know how I was going to get up to the roof from there, but I wandered around for a bit, trying to make sure nobody saw me, and eventually found an emergency staircase. Oh my god. Itchy nose. I managed to get to the roof without anyone saying anything to me. It was a lot easier than I thought it would be. The wind was blowing hard on the roof. It felt strangely warm, considering it was the end of October. I realized quickly that it wasn't a natural wind, but the air blowing from the air conditioners on top of the building. I fastened the button on my pocket so Seiratan wouldn't blow away. I like how he responds out loud. Hearing Seiratan's voice in my brain made me feel a little better. As long as I had Seiratan with me, I wasn't scared. That's what I told myself over and over again. That said, it was awfully dark up here. The only light was the neon O front sign, which I was now seeing from behind. And the neon lights on the other buildings were so bright that it was hard to see around me. If somebody was hiding up here, I'd never be able to find them. Oh my god. This is intense. Now I'm scared. Someone suddenly spoke. My heartbeat had been starting to slow, but now it flew back up to top speed. I looked around, but it was too dark to see where the speaker was. I heard a sound. It was the creaking sound I'd heard so many times before. This time, I slowly trained my eyes on the darkness in front of me. I could barely make out the outline of a wheelchair's wheels against the light. Huh? Oh boy. Shogun. I don't... Why does it sound like that? The voice was friendly as it said my name. It made me feel sick. I didn't want to talk to Shogun. I was scared. I wanted to run away from here right now. Sarah, please, don't encourage this behavior. Actually, she has a point. But Nanami... He sounds like Zone from 5Ds. He's got that weird, like, robotic sound to his voice. Weird. Wait, something was wrong with this Shogun. Something was different than before. Right, his voice. His voice wasn't right. Oh, I knew I was onto something. I mean, that's fair. That's fair, I suppose. What was going on? His voice was changing more and more. Was he using some kind of machine? Maybe he didn't want me to identify his voice? At this point, why bother? And what he was saying didn't make any sense either. That's right. Seiratan was right. Seiratan was always right. Always. I put my hand over the pocket I was keeping her in and squeezed tight. I was so afraid, my heart felt like it was about to burst out of my mouth. I forced myself to speak anyway. I thought stuff like this only happened on TV and in video games. I mean, at this point, maybe he didn't even cut off her hand. Maybe he just, like, sent a box and then did whatever, like, weird image programming thing to make him think he saw a severed hand in the box. At this point, it's up in the air. I have no idea. But I'd believe that. I certainly hope she isn't dead. And also, best case scenario, not even missing an arm. I started to cry. I could see Nanami's puffed up, pouting face in my mind. She was a little brat. Honestly, she was obnoxious. But still, I was so sad. So sad I was crying. This game really does... I just want to say, this game really does capture the sibling dynamic really well. It's like, you're annoying, you're irritating, I hate you, but yeah, you care about them more than you realize. Does a really good job of capturing that, I've noticed.
もしかしたら君の家に送ったあの手首は 別人のものかもしれない。
That's also a possibility, I suppose.
バングルと携帯はナナミちゃんのものだとしても、手首そのものは別人のものかもしれないっていうこと。
Nanami was alive?
信じちゃダメだってば。
Ah, yes. Take his words at face value. I mean, at this point, it's all evidence, right? Like, if you can't show it, I don't believe Jack. If I don't see it, and even then, I can't even trust that anymore.
生きているナナミちゃんをね。
Quest. There was that word again. Did he think this was a video game? But the real me wasn't a hero.
でももしクリアできなかった場合、ナナミちゃんは帰ってこない。
Wait a minute. Sabra also treated this like a video game. What could this mean? His voice suddenly grew cold as a blade. Felt so stupid, being afraid of such an old man. But he was crazy. He was the new gen killer.
だから僕を失望させないようやり遂げてほしい。君ならできるよ。
なんで僕なの？僕じゃなくても、僕なんかじゃなくてもいいじゃないか。
君でなくちゃダメなんだ。
だからなんで？
君は選ばれた人間だ。
Chosen.
勘違いしちゃダメだよ、タッキー。あいつの言う選ばれたってのは次の犠牲者として選ばれたって意味なんだから。
I remembered the horrible fates that had befallen the other new gen victims and shivered.
君は今日の昼間のことをもちろん覚えているよね。
昼間？
学校で君は岸本綾瀬を助けた。
Man, now I'm just thinking about Pregnant Man. I don't. Pregnant Man has haunted my nightmares. I'll never get over it. Shogun's email had talked about her attempted suicide. He must have been watching from somewhere. Or maybe he'd mind controlled her into trying to commit suicide in the first place.
あの花壇のおかげで岸本綾瀬は一命を取り留めた。そうでしょ。
And you saved her in the most beautifully poetic way possible. Shogun knew about the power I supposedly had. Nobody there had found anything strange in the slightest about that flower bed. The only one who'd known what had happened was Senna, and Senna had said this to me.
お前が妄想したんだろ。
タッキー、将軍の言うことは全力で否定して。
Make him think he's wrong? That's right. It was possible that Shogun was only after me, only trying to kill me, because of this power he thought I had. If I told him I didn't have it, maybe he'd let me go. Easy as that.
そんな力ない。
Understandable. Have a nice day.
力って何のこと？僕はそんな言葉は一言も使っていないんだ。
Oh crap.
タッキーには力なんてないよ。ただの肝オタなんだよ。タッキーにヒーローの素質なんてないさ。私にハーハーしてるだけの無害の引きこもり予備軍。そうっしょ？
Well, you didn't have to go that far. She was right. I didn't have any power. That was just a stupid kid's fantasy. After all the things that Senna and Ayase had said, I'd started to believe it was real. But the two of them were clearly crazy. I was stupid to believe anything a crazy person said. Hadn't Rimi said it was all a delusion anyway?
詳しく説明してくれない？あの花壇のこととか。
僕がやったっていう証拠はあるの？花壇を何もないところから出現させるなんて、そんなの僕には無理。
花壇が何もないところから出現したんだ。
Oh goddamn! He's playing it like a fiddle.
他の人は誰もが
最初からそこに花壇があったって話していたけど、君だけは花壇は最初はそこになかったってそう認識しているわけだ。
I might have dug my own grave again. Wait, who was Shogun anyway? If he knew what the other students and teachers were saying, had he been there to hear it from them?
僕は力なんてない。
Oh my god.
自分でも一体どうやったのか。
Takumi, don't say anything else until you get to speak to your lawyer, dude. Don't say you're making things worse for yourself. Don't say anything else.
でも使えた。君が妄想したことが現実になった。
惑わされないで。タッキー、本当に力なんてあると思う？そんなのアニメの世界じゃん。タッキーがいるのは現実なんだよ。ただのこともアヤセッチが2人に分裂したこともそれらが現実だったって証明できる？無理っしょ？
I mean, the flower bed, you can prove because a person is alive. Like that's. I guess she's saying prove it wasn't there to begin with. All right.
分裂したアヤセッチの体に触った？
I didn't.
ただの幻かも。そもそもタッキーはあの時警察とかユアッチに追われて動転してたし。
Then what about the flower bed?
同じだよ。花壇は最初からそこにあった。タッキーはリミッチを探してあそこへ行った時頭が痛くてフラフラしてた。アヤセッチが落ちるまでにはっきりとそこに花壇があることを確認した。
I'm starting to get a little suspicious of this figurine. I'm starting to think she's not being completely straight with us.
みんな誰一人として花壇が出現したことを疑問に思ってないってことはさ、逆に言えば最初からそこにあったから疑問に思わないってことっしょ？タッキーが間違えてただけなんだよ。将軍の言葉に惑わされちゃダメ。
Oh my god, I can't stop looking at those eyes.
花壇は最初からそこにあった。
They're so weird. I repeated what Seiratan had said.
最初はそこにはなかったって思い込んでたけど記憶違いだった。僕の脳内での妄想だよ。だってみんなあそこには花壇があったって言ってるんでしょ。力とかそういうわけのわからないものじゃなくてただの思い込みだったんだ。
いいや、君には力がある。そうだろ？
死にたくない。
そうだろ？
わからない。殺さないで。
君は自分の天才的な力についてもっと自覚するべきだよ。その潜在能力はすごすぎる。君なら世界を変えることだってできるんだ。
I wanted to go home. I wanted to go back to the base and grind an ESO until I passed out from exhaustion. I wanted to leer at my Seiratan figure and watch Blood Tune on an endless loop. That's all I ever wanted. So why?
タッキー、早く逃げて。私がずっと一緒にいてあげる。私だけがタッキーの味方なの。
I don't trust her.
だから帰ろう。三次元とのつながりなんて断ち切って楽しいことだけして生きよう。
Yeah, she said that before too.
さて、前置きはこれぐらいにしてそろそろクエストを始めよう。まずは下のスクランブル交差点がよく見えるところまで行ってほしい。
逃げなきゃ。このままじゃ本当に殺されちゃうよ。
聞こえなかった？スクランブル交差点を見下ろせるところへ移動するんだ。
His voice was soft, but incredibly cold. There was a sharpness to it that made him impossible to disobey.
何を
My legs were shaking and I couldn't move. I wrapped my arms around myself and hugged tight. Did I do what he said? Or not? I didn't have it in me to even decide.
僕の言うことが聞けない。従ってもらわないと、ナナミちゃんの命は保証できないよ。
どうせもう死んじゃってるよ。タッキーが今から頑張ったってただの無駄死にだよ。
ナナミの声聞かせて。
I squeaked out the words, but Shogun ignored me.
その必要はないよ。君はもう少し今の状況を考えた方がいい。
I didn't want to think about the chance that Nanami was dead. I didn't want to imagine her dead. It felt like if I imagined it, it might really happen. I gave in and moved somewhere I could look down on Scramble Crossing. The ground around my feet was dark. It felt like I might trip if I wasn't careful. There was a clear acrylic board on the side of the roof facing the Scramble Crossing, acting as a wall. It was about 3 stories high. When I got close to the wall, I could hear the chaos below me. There was a female voice that seemed much louder than the others. It was the one coming from the big TV.
アクリル板の壁に一箇所だけ壊れて穴が開いている部分があるだろう。
Oh no. I looked at the wall, wiping away the heavy sweat on my forehead. He was right. There was a hole big enough for a single person to pass through. It was a strange shape. It was a strange shape, like it had been smashed open. Someone had clearly done it deliberately. Of course, there was nothing on the other side. It was a sheer drop of an 8-story building.
そこから顔を出して下にいるギャラリーに挨拶してあげて。
What did he just said?
もう一度言おうか。その穴から身を乗り出して下にいる人たちに手を振ってあげてほしい。
He couldn't mean. See, if anything, I would be slightly comforted by the fact that if he did kill me like this, it would be really boring, and so far the murders have had like really specific themes. And so if he just pushed me off a building, like he already did one where he pushed people off a building, but it was like a bunch of people and they were all holding hands and all that. So like he's not gonna do a repeat performance with less people. I mean, come on now. You're good. You're good. I gulped. Is that how he'd made 5 people jump to their deaths? Sarah 10 was right after all. I had no choice left but to die. I had to jump. No, don't jump. The opposite of jump, don't jump.
拒否すればナナミちゃんは死ぬよ。
He just said peek out and say hi. That's all he said. You don't need to jump. No need to jump. What was I supposed to do? I tried to think of my best option, but with every thought I had, the worst case scenario came to me in the form of delusion. Somebody save me. Nanami's voice echoed in my panicked ears. I could see her smiling in my mind. It was my fault. Nanami had nothing to do with any of this, but Shogun had kidnapped her because of me, and even cut off her arm. I'm sorry, Nanami. I'm sorry. I wiped the tears away. They came back, and I wiped them away again. And then, with blurry vision, I slowly walked to the hole, and gingerly peered out over the edge. There was a sudden cheer below me. It was so loud it sounded like an earthquake. That big crowd in front of the station, and the media too. Is there a concert? They were all here for some event that was about to start. Suddenly, a bright light assaulted me. I narrowed my eyes and looked away. I could see the big TV on the next building over. The person on it was... Oh, Christ! Oh, no. Okay, I take back what I said. This feels very, This feels very much in line with, like, it could be one of the things. Okay. No, this is bad. Bad news. I changed my mind. Me. Huh? Me? The big TV showed me with my face covered in tears and my mouth wide open like an idiot. Even my posture looked terrible. At first, I thought I was seeing things. And then next, I thought that somebody was secretly recording me, and I shivered. I even thought that maybe it was an image that Shogun was stealing from my mind. And finally, I realized that it was a video of me being taken right at this very moment. There was text in large letters running across the bottom of the screen. Live from Shibuya Station, the amazing psychic boy. Oh my god, what the hell is happening? More text was scrolling beneath it. An emergency live appearance of a psychic boy personally vouched for by Yuri Brightman, the greatest psychic of the 21st century. Will he use his powers to find the new gen killer? What the hell is happening? Finally, I understood. The media and the gawkers in the Scramble Crossing were all looking at me. Don't look at me. Oh, this is bad news bears. Why are they all looking at me? Psychic boy? What the heck? Or going green, red. Does it even matter at this point? Like, I mean, obviously it matters, but like, there's no way to predict what either of them will do. I'm just going red. What are all of them looking at? I already read that. Didn't they all know what happened? What had happened today? There was an earthquake. It was an intensity 5 quake. Over 100 people died. So why were they all getting excited over a weird loser like me? I mean, to be fair, this is my worst nightmare. Like, you could even take out the being on top of a building thing, just like being in the middle of like nowhere with like 100 million people around you. No, thank you. Shogun must have brought them all here. They were all being mind controlled. I remembered how I'd seen ISA fall this afternoon, in front of this huge crowd, with all the people with all of Japan watching on live TV, and everyone waiting to see what I would say. I would be forced to jump. Then there'd be nobody left to tell the truth. Dead men tell no tales. The psychic boy who tried to identify the new gen killer turned out to be the killer himself. A shocking conclusion. What an incredible twist ending. They'd come up with a story about how I'd killed myself to atone for my crimes. And the new gen murders would end with a shocking video. My body would slam into the concrete. My limbs would twist into impossible angles. My brain would splatter out of my shattered skull onto the concrete, and the whole country would see it. Nothing less would satisfy the viewers. That's how entertainment worked. It was so simple. All I had to do was die. Then everyone else would be happy. Not just everyone else. I'd be happier that way too. If I died, I'd never have to suffer or be scared again. Don't do that. No need for that, my friend. Don't do that. Time to kill myself. Why I said it like that. I should kill myself. I was going to kill myself. I meant that too. It wasn't just something I was saying. The answer was so simple. I suddenly felt so much better. And feeling better than I had in ages, I flung myself into the sky. The night sky around Shibuya Station spun and spun. I fell. I could feel the wind on my whole body. It felt good. Look, everybody, I'm a bird.
ああ、死んじゃった。バカじゃないのこいつ。
キモーい。
Well, that's not very nice. Alright, I lied. This is my worst nightmare. Well, that was fun. Yeah, don't do that. What are they saying? Boy, I wish I knew Japanese. I wish I knew what they were saying. I was scared. I thought I would piss myself from fright. I'd never felt that close. Oh my god. I'd never felt death so close. Thought I was going to pass out. Like a child having a tantrum. I was crying and sobbing. I thought maybe if I cried enough, Shogun would let me go. Maybe the crowd below would have some sympathy and come to help. Maybe the police would realize I wasn't just the killer, just a harmless, dorky loser, come to save me. That hits really close to home. Maybe my parents were watching at home, and they'd offer to take my place. Maybe Rimi would appear out of nowhere to save me. Maybe I'd wake up and find out it was all just a dream. I shook my head desperately, screaming again and again that I didn't want to die. But... oh my god. Oh, good. Back. I thought he was gonna say forward. I was like, Shogun, you dick! Oh, never mind. Shogun's tone hadn't changed. I thought he was saying we could take a step back. No, he's... I take back my take back. What a dick.
君はもう舞台に上がってしまったんだ。覚醒するには最高のステージだとは思わないか。そこに集まっている人たちも君に期待しているんだよ。もしそれを裏切れば、ボートと化して君に襲いかかってくるかもしれない。
After hearing that, I couldn't step back or even turn around.
気にすんな。ただの脅し文句だよ。タッキー、ナナミッチは死んじゃったんだよ。今ここで逃げ出してもタッキーは悪くないってば。
But
そこから見える景色に集中してほしい。
this is like demented. I truly do not know where this is going. Is he trying to help him get the sword? Is he like I feel like he's not gonna be the killer, and he's like just like a figment of Takumi's being, and he's like helping him in the worst way possible, in the most upsetting way possible. Or maybe I'm wrong and he's just a monster. All right, I have no idea. Shogun's voice was completely calm, but had a force behind it that brooked no disagreement.
君にここでしてもらうことは一つだけ。
飛び降りるなんてできない。死んじゃう。
Like, I don't even know if this guy's real.
誰もそんなことは言っていないよ。
Huh? That wasn't what he wanted? Then I didn't have to die?
君には
You could have said that at the start, dude.
動かずに理想度を見つけてもらう。
Find my D-sword? How? It looks so hard for it. I've never even come close. How the hell was I supposed to find it here?
理想度はいわば妄想の剣。それだけ言えばわかるだろ。
Oh yeah, no, I got it now. I figured it out. Easy peasy. No, I don't understand.
騙されちゃダメだよ、タッキー。理想度なんて実在しないって。妄想が実際にあるわけないっしょ。
見つかるわけないよ。
君はこれまでに剣を持った人間と何度か接触した。そうだね。 その人物から聞いているはず。理想度をどうやって手に入れたら
You'd think.
よく思い出して。
この剣は命運を握る。この剣は嘆きを収束させたもの。この剣は超越した場所に干渉するためのもの。異空間のようなもの。同一次元上にあるもう一つの可能性、あるいは妄想。言い方にあまり意味はないが、唯一確かにこの剣もその領域に存在しているということ。いつの間にかそこにあった。気づかなかった最初は。でもちょっとだけ見方を変えたら分かった。もしかしたら匠にももう見えているのかも。見ているだけ。
The music is really amplifying like the insanity, the like desperate insanity of what is going on. Like it's really good. It's really good at making me feel very uncomfortable.
世界を疑え。仕組みを知れ。お前の見ている景色は本物か。妄想は現実にすることが可能だ。本当じゃないものが景色に紛れ込む。つまりエラーを現実として認識させる。
そうだよ。すでに多くのヒントが提示されているよね。
I see a sword-shaped thing. Was that there the whole time, or I might just be like, now I'm hallucinating. There's like a sword-shaped thing here. Is that like, was that there before? Am I making that up? Is this like a seek and find now?
君の眼下に広がっているその景色の中に。
I really hope this turns into like a Where's Waldo where I have to find it. Because if it does, I found it. I already found it. That would be so funny if it just like completely shifted into a Where's Waldo style point and find. So he'd hidden the D sword somewhere in front of me. He wanted me to find it.
見つけたら許してくれるの。
見つけるだけじゃクエストクリアにはならない。実際に
I'm gonna have to go back and see if that was there the whole this thing right? I can't like I don't have a thing to I'm circling with my mouse as if anyone can see that. Get the
その場から一歩も動いちゃならないっていうルールを破らないようにしてね。
That was impossible. How was I supposed to get the sword without being able to move from up here? What did Shogun even want me to do?
だからあいつは無理難題を突きつけておいて結局タッキーを殺したいだけなんだって。
I mean, at this point, if he was gonna kill it, it would be done. It'd be so dead.
逃げよタッキー、お家に帰ろう。
Oh my god, Sarah, could you just like be quiet in my pocket, please? You're not helping the situation at all. But if I take a single step back, he'll kill Nanami.
だからナナミッチはどうせ助からないってば。
Stop. He said he wouldn't hurt her.
あいつの言葉を信じるの？嘘ついてるかもしれないよ。
I looked carefully at the scene in front of me. The lights made it hard to see anything far away. Colder, warmer, warmer, colder, colder, much colder, getting colder. I tried to look at my surroundings as much as I could. There wasn't much I could see from here. Most everything was hidden by the buildings around me. I had to find it. Sword. I thought back to what Ayase and Senna had said. What did they mean?
でもちょっとだけ見方を変えたら分かった。本当じゃないものが景色に紛れ込む。
And then I thought back to the patterns on the ceiling of my room back at my parents' place. What? I'd always looked up at them whenever I was trying to go to sleep. And I thought to myself that the knots in the wood kind of looked like a human face. I was just about to say that's pareidolia. I love pareidolia. It's always fun. See shapes and clouds and faces and mountains and shit. Once I started to see a face there, I couldn't see it as anything else but a face. I like how all the words are blue and what showed up was pareidolia, but it didn't actually say pareidolia. It was, I guess, it's describing pareidolia. Anyways, yeah. A phenomenon where the human mind attempts to impose order on random patterns. When you look at stands on a wall and see a face, or see animals in the clouds, that's pareidolia. Most ghost photos are an example of this phenomenon. I love the tree, the giant like plateau. I can't remember where it is, but there's like a big plateau of like, it's like on a mountain or something like that, and it looks like a tree trunk. It looks like a enormous like miles wide tree trunk, but it's tracks. Fascinating. That's right. This wasn't like a pattern in a piece of wood. Shogun's voice was still calm as a whisper. Cut it out. Really does feel like it. Just making up the rules as he goes along. Like that flower bed? Like the second Ayase? But the last time I tried to create a real D-sword out of my delusions by using the fake one, it hadn't worked. I turned my head from left to right. I looked out at everything I could see from where I was standing. Warmer, warmer. Colder, colder, colder. Quick saved. I saw a sword. Yeah. Yeah, it's right there. Yeah. Yes. It's right there. I see it. I saw a sword, clearly. Yes. Yeah. It's on screen right now. If I could move from here, I could go get it. No, I don't think so. Like, if I could move from here, I could go get it. No. I mean, like, literally? Like, if it is literally where I'm seeing it, and literally, like, if he... No, unless you can fly and... I don't think so, no. I could see the sword someplace that wasn't here too. Oh, guys, it's making me remember shit that... Is this like referring to something? Should I have seen it earlier? Oh, God. Oh, no. This is certainly the first time I've seen it. But I'm not very observant, so it's possible that, like, it has showed up before. But I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen it before, no. Could see the sword someplace that wasn't here too, so I'm gonna say no, and I'm probably, that's probably wrong, and I'm probably like a death big bad. It's not actually a sword. I mean, I don't know what this means. Like, I think literally what it is like a combination of like a lamppost in the side of that wall. So if that's like, if it's asking what it is in actuality, it's not actually a sword. Yeah. Oh, this is bad news bears. I saw it. It's right there, yeah. Grab it. As I looked out into the night, the light warping and twisting through the tears in my eyes, I found a spot that looked like a sword. Ayase was right. I hadn't noticed it at first, but when I changed the way I looked at things, suddenly it was there. I didn't care if it was just a coincidence or not. The more I started to see it as a sword, the more it contrasted with its surroundings. Finally, it became more and more real, standing out against the scenery around it. Even its outlines were gradually becoming clear.
見つけたんだね。
Shogun must have noticed my shock because he spoke almost immediately.
では手を伸ばしてその剣を切り取ってほしい。
Cut out the sword.
深く考えなくていいんだ。君にならできるよ。
Man, Shogun is like, I don't know what to do with. Why is he being so nice and also the worst?
ダメ、タッキー、そんなことしたら下に落ちちゃう。落ちたら死んじゃうよ。
No, you don't need to step away. Just like, I assume it's like, it's closer than it looks, right? It's like, it looks like it's far away, but in reality, you just reach out and grab it. I looked below. The crowd below me was huge. The ambulances weren't here yet. It was just like this afternoon. They were too slow. Of course they were. The earthquake this afternoon had been devastating.
切り取るなんてできないよ。
固定観念にとらわれたらダメだ。最初からできるわけがないと思っていたら何もできない。
Also, his music's pretty sick too.
あるがままを見ればいいんだ。
And see things as they are.
君には力がある。世界はその力に応えてくれる。あの花壇みたいにね。
Could I really do that? Could I really get the sword just by reaching out? Maybe it was worth a try. Ayase had said the D-sword would save me. Maybe this is what she was talking about. I could get the sword and finish the quest. Nanami would come back alive and Shogun would leave me alone. I could go back to my normal, peaceful life. Sarah, you're not helping. Go away.
将軍があっさりタッキーを見逃すって？だって相手は10人も殺した連続殺人鬼なんだよ。
Shogun wouldn't try to make me do the impossible. I could do this. That's why he was telling me to do it, because he knew I could.
あいつはタッキーを殺したいだけ。忘れたの？集団ダイブの映像。将軍は5人の男女を1回も触れることなく転落死させたんだよ。
I hated to disobey Saraton, but still, I reached out to the sword, as if seeking salvation. The people below gasped. Thousands of people in the packed crossing below were watching my every move. If you included the people watching on TV, there might be millions or tens of millions. I felt like I was going to throw up. Oh god. Pressure of having so many people watching me threatened to shatter my mind like glass. No, don't think about it. I like how this is phrased. No, don't think about it. Think about it. And you won't. No, I'm dumb. I didn't read the whole sentence. Oh, now I'm embarrassed. Now I'm embarrassed because I was. No, alright, it's over. I'm going home. I'm going away. Bye. No, I'll just. Oh, it's really embarrassing. No, don't think about it. Think about it and you won't be able to move. For now, focus on the sword. I thought it was completely different. I don't want to talk about it. I'm embarrassed. I didn't read the whole sentence. I reached out from where I stood, keeping a close eye on my footing. I focused on the sword and tried to grab it. I couldn't touch it. The wind was blowing hard. It was coming at me randomly, too. One moment, it would blow me from the front, and the next it would slam into my body from the side. I was grabbing onto the acrylic board, but it was so slippery that it wasn't doing much more than making me feel a little better. If I had the slightest lapse in concentration, I'd fall off. Still, I tried desperately to grab the sword, but no matter how many times I tried, it didn't work.
できるわけないよ。だってあれは本当の剣じゃないんだよ。
The tears came back. My vision blurred again, and the faint, sword-like thing I'd seen a moment ago began to dissolve. No! No! Don't lose the faith! I quickly wiped away the tears. It felt like if I lost sight of it, I'd never find it again.
それならもっと手を伸ばせばいい。
Damn it. Didn't he know how dangerous this was? I bit my lip and held back my tears, reached out further than before. I still couldn't grab it.
もっと
If I fell here... I looked down again. I was higher up than I'd thought. I felt like I was going to get dizzy and pulled back and clung to the acrylic board.
どうしたの？剣を早く手に入れて。でないといつまで経ってもあの道には戻ってこない。
I shouldn't have looked down. I couldn't stop shaking. I was worried the shaking would make me slip. I was completely terrified.
できないよ。許して。
君はあまり僕を舐めない方がいい。君のわがままに付き合うつもりはないんだ。理想度を手に入れる。それができないなら君の妹は死ぬ。君も死ねばいい。ただそれだけ。
No, I didn't want to die.
死にたくない。
Once again, I stretched out my arm from the hole. I could see the sword there still. I tried it again and again, but it was no good. It was so close. Why couldn't I reach it? I leaned out farther. I stretched out my whole body and reached my hand toward the sword. I even stretched my fingers as far as they would go, and slowly clenched my hand. Once again, nothing.
手が届かないよ。
I feel like he's gonna have to, like, jump for it, and then grab it, and then use it to save himself, or something like that. It was impossible. Saratan was right. The sword was half invisible. There was no way to even grab it. It only looked like it was a normal size because it was so far away. It had to be incredibly huge. No human could hold a sword that size. Oh no, you're looking at it wrong!
手を折っちゃう。届かない。
ナナミちゃんを助けなくていいの？
助けて。もう許して。死にたくないんだよ。
昼間のことを思い出すんだ。君の力があればそこから落ちたとしてもまた花壇を出現させればいい。君は落ちても死なない。
I mean, it'll still hurt like a bitch.
自信ある？
Saratan whispered to me mischievously. Confident?
タッキーがここから落ちて下の地面に激突するまでほんの3秒もないよ。その間に自分の意志でまた花壇を出現させる。タッキーがそんなすごいことできる？今まで一度も自分で意識してその力とかってのを使ったことないっしょ？
Oh boy. Whoops. No, not skip. That's not the button I meant to press. Alright, we got red and we got green. I'm gonna go green this time. I don't know. I don't know. Just, it has a good connotation in my mind. It has a good association. Also, it's just, green's good. I like green. Green's a nice color. That's right. Even if I did have that power, I didn't know how to use it.
ねえ、 ッキーはよくやったよ。でもこれ以上は
Sarah, you're not helping.
死にたくないっしょ。
But Nanami.
タッキーはよくやったよ。妹を亡くした悲劇の兄として今後もやっていけるって。
That's fucked up. The older brother who lost his sister. I don't like Sarah anymore. I don't think I like Sarah 10 anymore. I'm not even gonna give her the 10. I don't like Sarah. I don't like her. Ugh.
正々堂々と引きこもれるんだよ。あ、もしかしたらさ、どっかの偽善者が同情してタッキーを養ってくれるかもしんないね。ブログに適当なこと書けば出版社に目をつけられてベストセラーになっちゃうかも。
Wow.
日本中が泣いたとか白々しいキャッチコピーがつけられて、それに載せられたバカでゆとりな人たちからの感動した共感したっていう絶賛の嵐。それで印税もガッポガッポ。半年後に映画が決定っしょ。すごいよ。ナナミッチをここで見殺しにするだけでタッキーにはバラ色の人生が待ってるんさ。さあ、どっちを選ぶ？タッキーがここで頑張ってでも死んで全てが無になるか、バラ色の人生か。
I don't like Sarah anymore. I mean, I guess she didn't really say. She didn't really. Oh my god, they got me. I just realized in my brain I was like, oh, well, she didn't really say that. Of course she didn't really say that. She doesn't really say anything. He got me. This game got me. The way it made my brain work just now, that's really funny. Okay, I just need to take a moment. That was really making me reevaluate my own thought processes. Oh my god. Okay.
痛いのは嫌だ。死ぬのは嫌だ。消えるのは嫌だ。ナナミがどうなろうと、僕は痛くも痒くもない。
No, 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 no. Don't do it. I believe in you, my dude. I kept whispering the words as if I were trying to make myself believe them. There was one person here who was right, and it wasn't Shogun. It was Sarah 10. No! No!
あの剣は
No!
剣に見えるだけで剣じゃない。ただの光の反射とか目の錯覚だ。
Don't turn away from the truth.
さあ、帰ろう。帰ったらさ、私のパンツ見ながらいっぱいエッチなこと想像していい
No!
から。
Do not be swayed.
僕帰る。
Don't do it.
セーラタンにはハーハーするよ。
嬉しいな。タッキーのためにエッチなポーズたくさんしてあげるね。
Did I just get the worst ending ever? Why do I feel like I just got the worst ending ever? I slowly pulled back my hand. Just doing so made me feel so much better. I took the Sarah 10 figure out of my pocket and stared at her smile. If Sarah 10 was okay with what I was doing, that was all that mattered. Oh. Dude. I wiped the snot from my nose. I turned around and walked toward Shogun. Is this really all because I picked green? Is it just green in that one makes Takumi suck?
誰が動いていいと許可した？クエストはまだクリアしていないぞ。
僕は勇者なんかじゃない。妹一人救えないようなヘタレな妹だよ。僕に期待しないで。僕を見ないで。僕をそっとしておいて。
ではナナミちゃんは殺すことにするよ。
どうせ もう死んでる。
She was already dead. Shogun had killed her in some horrible way. It would probably be the top story on the news tomorrow, the 6th New Gen case. It was sad, but I couldn't do anything about it. Oh, don't do this. I don't like this. Please don't pan up. I beg of you, don't pan up. I heard what sounded like dripping water, but it wasn't water. It was Nanami's blood. It was bright red blood. It was bright red blood dripping from her severed wrist. Yeah, dude. Don't pan up. It's about to pan up. No? I was spared. I screamed. The whole world turned red. My mind went blank with rage, sorrow, and helplessness. And I charged into Shogun at full speed. I grabbed at the figure hidden in the shadows. But my hands passed through thin air. And I collapsed onto the wheelchair. I must have hit my elbow because it was stinging from the pain. I winced and looked for the person in the wheelchair. There was a severed head rolling at my feet. Oh! Trembling, I picked it up off the ground. It was very hard. I quickly realized that it wasn't a severed head at all. It was some kind of helmet. They really got me with the I was like, oh, a severed head, of course. A black helmet. Like a Shogun.
Spider.
I don't know if I can play this game anymore. I think it's I don't have anything for this. I could list off 100 things I was expecting just now. Darth Spider was not on that list or the next list of 100. So, all right, Darth Spider. Where's this going? Oh, nowhere. Cool. Awesome. Great. Darth Spider, everyone. I'm like fully broken right now. I am fully cracked. I don't know if I can recover from that. All right, I'm gonna just I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I'm gonna keep playing. I think I want to give it like another hour at least. I feel like I've snapped. I feel like I'm completely I'm done. I can't. My brain is like it's like it's not even Swiss cheese. It's like Parmesan cheese. You know what I mean? Like where it's not there's not holes in it. It's just grated. Okay. I'm good. I'm not good, but the entrance to the Hanzoman subway was packed, even though it was almost midnight. Thanks to the earthquake, all the trains and buses were running late. The people heading through the turnstiles weren't even trying to hide their annoyance. Yasuji-ban was in the station staff office, watching them on the monitors. The call had come in from the station staff yesterday morning. There was a report of a teenage girl attacking people with a huge bladed weapon. The local police had rushed to the scene, but when they got in there was no sign of the girl or the man she'd supposedly attacked. Bond had happened to hear this and noticed the description of the man she'd supposedly attacked. There were several earlier reports of the same thing happening. That's why he'd come here at this god-awful hour. Supposedly, the station's video cameras had captured the incident on tape. When he'd asked the station staff to show him the video, they'd eagerly agreed, stopping only to add that it was a little bit creepy. He had them use the station monitors to show him the footage. It was full of static. The static was probably from the earthquake. He'd heard that a lot of the other hard disk drives had lost data today. That probably had something to do with it. Oh my god. It was only barely possible to make out what was going on. It would be very hard to identify any individuals on the tape. The monitor was showing a single man. He was on the right side of the screen, a distance away from the monitor, standing against the wall. The camera was showing a spot a distance away from the turnstiles, one you wouldn't use if you were just here to get on a train. In fact, the only other people to appear on screen were people quickly cutting across the camera's field of view. The screen was so fuzzy with static that it was hard to tell, but he looked like he was short and extremely thin. He was wearing a heavy backpack too. Bond couldn't imagine what he was doing there. He fast-forwarded the video, and after an hour or so, something happened. A few of the passers-by walking across the screen headed toward the man and stopped. It looked to Bond as if they were being drawn in by the backpack he was wearing. What was especially strange, though, was that they didn't seem to be talking. They were just standing there. The few who stopped didn't seem to know each other either. They were of different ages and genders, and seemed to have nothing in common. What was going on? Just as Bond started to get really confused at the goings-on screen, though, a girl appeared on the camera. She was wearing a Suime Academy uniform and had long hair. She walked right up to the man with the backpack. The way she was moving was clearly different from the ones who'd stopped nearby him before. She knocked them out of the way as she grabbed the backpack man's collar. The two of them argued for a moment, or actually, it felt like the girl was threatening the man. This seemed to bring the others back to their senses. They quickly walked away. A few moments later, the girl gave the man a hard shove. The man fell flat on his ass, and then something strange happened. The girl took a step back and struck an odd pose. She dropped low and seemed to bring her fists up to her ears. It looked like she was holding something heavy in her hands, but there was nothing there at all. The report said that she was carrying a huge bladed weapon, but where could she be hiding it on her body? The answer immediately became clear. The screen, that is, the camera, suddenly began to shake. This wasn't static. The way her hair and clothes of the people around them were flapping, as if they were blowing in the wind, made that much clear. Bond leapt forward to get a closer look at the screen. Suddenly, the girl was holding a huge sword in her hands. It was bigger than she was tall, and Bond had no idea where she'd gotten it from. He had to then rewind the tape so he could see it again. No matter how many times he watched it, the sword just seemed to appear from thin air. If nothing else, the girl hadn't moved at all. The people on the screen were freaking out at the girl and her sword. She, however, was completely ignoring them. The man with the backpack, though, was clearly frightened. He scrambled to his feet and then tried to run away. The girl refused to let him. The man was surprisingly agile as he ran, but the girl caught up and swung the massive blade like it weighed nothing at all. The sword cut through the man's backpack like a tornado. The impact knocked him to the ground. He didn't seem to have been hurt, though. In fact, when the police got there, they hadn't found any blood at all. Bond whispered aloud. The girl suddenly looked at the camera as if she'd heard him, even though there was no way she could with a pre-recorded video. The screen blurred for a moment. And she was gone. It was as if she'd never been there in the first place. The shattered remains of the man's backpack, though, testified that she had been. It was hard to tell from the static on the screen, but it was plain she disappeared in less than a span of a second. Bond rewound the tape. The timestamp in the corner showed nothing unusual at all. In other words, this video hadn't been spliced. But how to explain the disappearance of the girl and the appearance of the sword, then? Bond felt like he'd seen a ghost. He had no explanation for any of this. The world around me was perfectly white. I was lying down. It felt like I was floating, but I couldn't tell if I was. I couldn't tell which way was up and which way was down. Every sentence I read literally ends with, in my brain, Darth Spider? I swear I need them to like elaborate just a little bit on that. I need them to get back to that. I hope they do that soon, because it is nagging at my brain right now. It is like every single sentence ends with, okay, but what about Darth Spider, though? Please, game. Silence was loud in my ears. It was like hundreds of crickets were chirping in my head. If somebody had told me that this was the afterlife, I wouldn't have doubted it for a second. The place was just so monotone, empty, silent, orderly, organized, vacant, and peaceful. This must have been what the Buddha's brain was like after he achieved enlightenment. It wasn't like my brain at all. I wanted to stay here forever. All the crap I had to put up with in the real world, the pain, the suffering, the emptiness, I didn't want to deal with any of it. And then a noise disrupted the silent white world. It was the sound of a door opening, then the sound of somebody's footsteps. They were coming closer.
Oni, 来たよ。
Oh boy.
一緒、一緒。
Oh.
お兄、今日ね、ママね、いいもの持ってきたんだよ。はい、これ、プレゼント。手編みの帽子なんだよ。すごいでしょ？すごいでしょ？もう冬だしね。ママね、帽子好きだから編んだの。使ってね。もう。お兄、無視しないでよ。ああ、ご飯残してるじゃん。せっかくのカレーなのに。ちゃんと食べないとダメなんだよ。ねえねえ、病院のご飯って美味しくないって本当？でも食べないとダメ。起きろ、お兄。食べずに寝たら夜になってお腹空いちゃうんだから。
Somebody's hand came around to my back. They pushed me and sat me up. It was only then that I realized my eyes were closed. I opened them and there was a small girl there. It was Nanami, my little sister. She was so small. It was Nanami as she looked several years ago. How many years, though? She had to be in elementary school at least. The young Nanami scooped up curry with a plastic spoon and offered it to me. And I knocked her hand away. For some reason, I swept the tray with the curry rice into... God. I swept the tray with the curry rice onto the floor with my arm.
Oni, お行儀悪いんだ。お母さんに言いつけてやるぞ。
Nanami crouched down and picked up the tray. Next, she brought a washcloth over from the sink in the corner of the room and began to clean up its splattered contents.
世話が焼けるな。ナナがいないと何にもできないんだから。
Just leave me alone. I covered my face with my hands and slowly closed my eyes.
ごめんね。あなたを守ってあげられなくて。
I slowly opened my eyes and saw a white ceiling. The white was dazzlingly bright. I blinked a few times. I tried moving my fingers. I brought my hand up to my face. My hand made a shadow, blocking the light. Only then was I free from the brightness. I'd been dreaming. It was a dream about Nanami. Nanami had always been such a little grown-up. That tendency of hers had only gotten more pronounced when I'd stopped talking to everybody after the bus incident. My parents just became overprotective, but whatever mean things Nanami might say, she would always try to take care of me. But that dream... Had I ever stayed at a hospital like that? I'd been going to one, but never stayed there, right? Well, there was no point in trying to read too much into a dream. I was lying down on a bed. It was a simple white bed. The sheets were white, the pillows were white, the linoleum floor was white, the wallpaper was white too. Even the fluorescent lights on the ceiling were white. The curtains on the windows were white. This room would drive anyone to actual insanity. I would not be able to be in a room like this for more than like 5 minutes before it started to snap. The tiny shelf next to the bed was white. The porcelain pitcher on it was white. The paper cups were white. I was starting to get sick of all the white. I tried forcing myself to sit up. For a single instant, I felt a numbing pain around my lower back, but it quickly vanished. The room was pretty big, twice the size of the base at least, but it was empty. It might have been a hospital room. I could see a single pair of green slippers just under the bed. I felt relieved to find something that wasn't white, right? I was moving, and I wasn't dead from the look of it. My throat was dry. I wanted a soda, a cold, fizzy soda. But of course, there was nothing like that in this pure white room. I ended up pouring water from the pitcher directly into my mouth. It was a little warm, but enough to slake my thirst. After I finished drinking my water and taking a moment to catch my breath, the door opened and a white-clad nurse came in. So this place was a hospital after all. She seemed a little surprised as she looked at me. She'd thought I was still asleep, it seemed.
あら。西條さん、目が覚めたんですね。
She smiled gently at me. What a great nurse she was. Wait, I felt like I'd seen her somewhere before. Oh, now I remember. I'd met her when I'd gone to see Dr. Takashina. What was her name again? I couldn't remember, so I glanced at the name tag on her chest. Hazuki, it read. Right, Hazuki.
お体の調子はどうですか?
She offered me a thermometer. I took it without really thinking about what was going on.
体温を測ってくださいね。
I couldn't say no if she was going to be this nice. My head was overflowing with doubts, but I put the thermometer under my arm anyway. Then the memories burst into my head. I remembered what had happened before. Up on the roof. After I'd given up on saving Nanami, I'd charged Shogun in his wheelchair. But there was nobody there. I'd fallen over and found myself holding a Darth Spider helmet. Yes, please elaborate on what the hell that was all about. Count Darth... Oh, he's a Count too. Count Darth Spider was a famous villain from the movie Spark Wars. His all-black silhouette was famous even in Japan. I'd never expected in a million years to find that Shogun was wearing a Darth Spider cosplay. All my anger melted away, replaced by confusion. So I'm not the only one, at least. Alright. I stood up and looked at the wheelchair. Nobody was in it. There was a black hooded robe draped over the back of the chair. It was part of Darth Spider's costume, too. I looked around to see if anyone else was there, but there wasn't. I was the only person on the dark roof. Then the media came rushing in. They surrounded me with microphones, cameras, and lighting. There was nowhere to turn. I didn't know how many people were there, but at least a dozen. The sheer intensity of them all terrified me. I wanted to run, but I couldn't move an inch. They were crushing me. Oh my god.
結局ニュージェネの犯人は誰なのかわからないというこ
This
と
is
ですか
demented.
そのダーススパイダーのヘルメットは何か超能力と関係あるのかな。
日常さん答えてくれませんか。これで終わりなんて言うなら電波ジャックですよ。
結局何がしたかったんです？ニュージェネに便乗した売名行為ですか？不謹慎だと思わないんですか？
ユーリ・ブライトマンさんとは最近話したかな。どんなこと話した？
地震とニュージェネについて何か関係あると思いますか。
その手に持っている美少女フィギュアは何らかの儀式的なアイテムと考えていいんですか？
このような行動を取ったことにはアニメやゲームの影響はあったのかな。
日常さん
西条さん、
西条君。
The lights were so bright. It felt like my flesh was burning under a midsummer sun. There were so many people around me that the heat of their bodies was making my head feel woozy. My vision was spinning. I was pushed into a corner, panicking. I couldn't breathe. I put my hands to my head. I couldn't see a thing. I didn't want to see a thing. I couldn't hear a thing. I didn't want to hear a thing. I couldn't feel a thing. I didn't want to feel a thing. And as I screamed, my mind went blank, like it had short-circuited me. That's right, I passed out. And then, how'd I end up here after that? I couldn't remember. If nothing else, I was sure I hadn't walked here on my own. Maybe I'd been brought here by an ambulance? Hazuki was writing something on the clipboard in her hand. There must have been some kind of paper stuck on it. Was she writing down my symptoms? I was able to check the time from the simple, nondescript wristwatch on her arm. It was just past 6 in the morning. I'd been out for a long time from the look of it. Alright, well... Green really screwed me over last time, so, red it is. I pressed the wrong button again. I'm so good at this. Flawless. Flawless execution. Red. Take it away, Red. But why this hospital, though? If Hazuki was here, that meant it was the one I usually went to. This place was a big general hospital. I could see somebody deciding to bring me here. But some things still didn't seem right. I wasn't sure why Hazuki would be the one assigned to me. She worked in the psychiatric ward, right? If she was here, did that mean this room was usually used by mental patients? Oh, I don't like that. I don't like the way her eyes went all creepy and soulless. I didn't appreciate that. No, thank you. Hazuki's voice suddenly became cold. She wasn't even looking at me as she wrote something down on her clipboard. I don't like the music either. What is... Oh no! What was she talking about? What?
妹さんの手首を切り落として持ち歩いていたなんてまともじゃないわ。
Oh, they got me with the typo. Her served hand.
僕は殺してない。
そう主張しているらしいですね。意味不明なことばかり言ってて話にならないって刑事さんがぼやいてました。心神喪失で無罪っていうのを狙ってるんですか？
So, Red has failed me once again. No, I mean, yeah, Red. There's no good answer, is there? There's just no good answer.
でもみんな思ってますよ。あなたが殺したんだって。
I felt an intense pressure in my chest, around my heart, and everything in front of me seemed to go dark. I didn't even know who I was anymore. I had killed Nanami? That wasn't true. Suddenly, she stopped writing, and then she turned the clipboard to me. Oh, god damn it! Okay, you're not helping your case. Suddenly, I realized I was back in the room. I just pulled the sheets aside from my body a moment ago, but now they were back on top of me. Hazuki wasn't standing at my bedside either. I looked around the room as I wiped the sweat from my forehead. Oh good, she's back. There was a knock and Hazuki came in, looking a little surprised.
あら。西条さん、目が覚めたんですね。
She smiled gently at me. I froze and looked away from her.
お体の調子はどうですか？
She offered me a thermometer. I took it without really thinking about what was going on.
体温を測ってくださいね。
This sounds familiar. I gulped a little as I took the thermometer. It was the same. So it's the same thing that had happened just a moment ago. Hazuki was acting like she'd just come into the room for the first time. I patted my armpit gingerly, scared at what I might find. I just put the thermometer under it a second ago, but it wasn't there. The other thermometer was gone. So what happened a moment ago had been a delusion. I untensed, but I still wasn't ready to relax and let my guard down.
昨日ご家族がお見えになっていたんですけど、西条さんの意識が戻らないので、日付が変わる頃にお帰りになりました。今日は診察時間が始まる頃にお母様が来るそうですよ。
I nodded since I didn't even have the strength to answer. Mom, I'm the most embarrassing son in all of Japan. No, maybe the entire world. Why did it have to be on TV? The whole country had seen me up there sobbing and crying. It was almost certainly on YouTube, too. I didn't know why they were saying I was some kind of psychic boy. I mean, at this point, did that even happen? Or why'd they want to broadcast every move of a creepy loser otaku like me on the day of the huge earthquake? The only conclusion I could come up with was that Shogun really had mind-controlled them all. Either way, they'd seen me in all my shame. This wasn't just some internet thing that'd be over in a day or two. I might not ever have a peaceful life again. Suddenly, an image of Nanami's face flashed in my mind. I bit my lip and squeezed my hands against my thighs. If I'd managed to save Nanami, none of that would have mattered. The whole world could have laughed at me for the rest of my life, and I wouldn't have cared. But I hadn't been able to save her. Yeah, thanks a lot, Sarah! You temptress! The tears came pouring down face.
どうしました？どこか痛みます？
I shook my head again and again as I cried. Nanami was dead. Nanami wasn't coming back. It was my fault. It was my fault. It was my fault. It was my fault. Because I was such a loser, that's why Nanami had died. Up on that roof, I'd listened to Saratan, or rather, my heart's weakness talking to me through her, and given up on the D-Sword without even really trying. I'd chosen to save myself and pretend to be a poor little victim instead of saving her. I hated myself from the bottom of my heart. When I was up there, if I'd tried a little harder, I was the only one who'd made the decision to give up, and yet I regretted it now that everything was over. That was the worst possible thing a person could do. Regret didn't help anybody, but still, I couldn't help but think. If I could go back to that moment, I'd try a little harder. But of course, even if I did go back, I'd probably make a bunch of excuses and give up again anyway. That was what I always did. God, I was pathetic.
Nanami.
No, I still blame Sarah. I think she's real. And she's the worst.
Nanami.
Hazuki rubbed my back to comfort me. I was such a failure. I was even causing trouble for this nurse, and she had nothing to do with it. But the tears kept coming.
何か後悔していることがあるんですね。でもきっと妹さんも許してくれますよ。
How did she know Nanami was my sister? And I didn't want to hear something so cliched. I hated to say this about Hazuki when she was being so nice to me, but there was no way she could understand how I felt. I hated myself so much. I was so pathetic. I kept looking for other people to comfort me when I only cared about myself. I'd be better off dead. Maybe I really should kill myself.
昨日もしきりに西条さんのことを心配していましたよ。
Yeah.
とても可愛らしい妹さんですね。
I had a feeling it was something like that. What was she talking about?
ナナミは妹は死にました。
Shogun had kidnapped her. He chopped off her arm. He locked her up somewhere. And she probably died there all by herself and lonely. The thought of it made me feel like my heart would burst.
そうなんですか。ごめんなさい。勘違いしてしまって。
I'd always thought that what of the past like week or so of this guy's life, what of that has actually happened is my question at this point. I'm so twisted. So like, what? Which bits are real and which, I mean, I'm it's exactly what they're going for, I guess. My poor brain. I'd always thought that Nanami was obnoxious, but thinking back, we'd been siblings for 16 years. She'd always called me a jerk, but she'd always been worried about me. She was always so annoying because she was trying to break me out of my miserable life. When she brought something terrible to... Where did I get the word terrible? Oh my god, why? When she brought something to eat from home, she didn't just give it to me. She always tried to make sure we ate together. Normally, a girl that age would be trying her best to ignore a creepy older brother like me. Nanami might have been mean, but she always talked to me. She always listened to what I had to say. At school even, instead of ignoring me. Hold on. At school even, instead of ignoring me, she'd actively try to talk to me. I'm so confused about the punctuation there, but I'm gonna roll with it. I was a pathetic virgin otaku, but Nanami had always treated me like it was her brother. Oh. Like I was a person. She was one of the few things that kept me going. Realizing that when it was too late didn't change anything, though.
でも、だとしたら、鬼ってどういう意味なのかしら?
Huh? I looked up, unsure of what she meant. My eyes were so teary, I couldn't see the look on her face. What did she just said?
眠ってる西条さんを、鬼と何度も呼んでいたから、その印象が強くて。
There was only one person who called me that.
それ、本当ですか?
I was so excited that I got out of bed and went over to her.
はい。何がです？
ナナミがここに来てたんですか？
いえ、はっきりお名前を聞いたわけでは。
僕のこと鬼って呼んでたんですね。
ええ。
ナナミは今どこに？
ですから、昨日はお帰りになりましたけど、西条さんのお母様と一緒に。
怪我とかしてませんでしたか？
はい。いえ、特には。
元気だったんですね。ナナミは元気だったんですね。
はい。いえ、ナナミさんかどうかはわかりませんけど、昨日いらしていた女の子は元気そうでしたよ。
Nanami was alive. From what Hazuki was saying, that much seemed clear. I sat back down on the bed. My brain was close to total shutdown. What had happened? Shogun said he wouldn't give Nanami back unless I finished the quest. Had he released her out of pity? Was that even possible? Or had she run away on her own? But then what about the hand that had shown up in my room? Hazuki had even said she wasn't hurt.
もしかしたら君の家に送ったあの手首は別人のものかもしれないよ。
Also, that just reminded me there is currently just a served hand in the base right now, just sitting in a box. I'm wondering like what he did with that. What do you do with that? That's actually that's a really good. Now that I think about it, like what do you do with that? Assuming you're not going to the place, which is the correct answer. What do you do with that? Like, what do you just keep it? Do you throw it away? Are there receptacles for that? It doesn't seem like hygienic to just throw it away. Anyways, so he wasn't lying to me when he said that. Shogun had just been toying with me. He deceived me. No, the fact that he deceived me didn't even matter now. So she was okay. She was okay. She was okay. Nanami had never been kidnapped in the first place. While I was on top of O-Front trying to grab that D-sword, she was probably at home, reading manga in bed, or going to karaoke with her friends and singing off-key. That's incredibly specific. I was crying, but I couldn't stop laughing.
西条さん?
将軍にまんまと騙された。なんという壮大な釣りだよ。
That's an understatement of the century. Nanami was alive. She was alive! I get to see her bratty face again. Hear her obnoxious voice again. I felt so relieved and so happy.
よかった。
The tears wouldn't stop, but they weren't the tears of frustration I'd been weeping a moment ago.
よかった。
Maybe I was a total failure. Maybe I'd given up on trying to save Nanami on my own yesterday. But as long as she was safe, that was all that mattered. The whole world could laugh at me, and I wouldn't care. Really, I was just so happy. That's sweet and wholesome. I like that. There was another meeting being held in the big conference room at the Shibuya police station today. All the detectives looked exhausted, and none of them were looking forward to more hours of useless discussion. Ugh. As Matsunaga started asking the various officers for their reports, Bon nervously raised his hand.
ちょっといいですかね。
なんだね。
So, this thing happened at the train station. It's gonna sound weird. Hear me out. It wasn't just Matsunaga who looked suspicious. Even Sua in the chair next to him, and the rest of the detectives too, looked suspicious. Bon gave his usual shallow like, when it says they looked suspicious, as in they looked at him suspiciously, or like they looked shady. I'm not sure what it means by they look suspicious. Bon gave his usual shallow smile and then made a few little bows as he looked around the room.
先日インターネット上に投稿されたいわゆる集団ダイブの映像についてなんですが、実はちょっとした発見をしまして。え?
Sua seemed shocked. It was understandable that he would be. Bon hadn't told his partner a word about his investigations into the video. Of course, it wasn't that he'd wanted to keep it a secret, but...
バン警部補、君は確か貼り付けの捜査担当だったはずだが、なぜ集団ダイブについて調べている?
Well, that was why. Bon had been ignoring the task force orders and going off on his own, and he didn't want Sua involved. That would be a great way to ruin the career of a promising young detective.
まあ、とりあえず見てくださいって。
Bond gave a sheepish smile as he took large photos out of the file folder in front of him. He pinned them to the board with magnets.
これはどっちも集団ダイブの現場となったコーネリアスタワー屋上の写真です。右の写真は例のミュウツベ投稿映像から抜き出したも
Huh.
の。
Is this one of them spot the difference games? Hold on, I got this. This is a tricky one. This is a tricky one. I'm not saying it. Maybe they'll tell me. Maybe they'll tell me.
左のは昨日の夜、私がタワー屋上に行って撮ってきたものになります。何か違いに気づきませんか？
I'm sure it's there. There's got to be something, right?
あ、
Murmur spread throughout the room.
背景がね、違うんです。
Background looks different,
投稿映
but
像の
what
カメラは
about it?
北東へ向かってる。5人が転落したのが北東だったから間違いない。で、映像では3分29秒から約15秒間、カメラが左右へ大きく振れるんですが、その時に東に向いた時の映像がこの右側の写真なわけです。コーネリアスタワーの東、つまり六本木方面ですね。東京タワーが夜景の中にしっかり映ってる。赤いから目立ちますね。でもね、もう一つよく目立つものが映ってないんですよ。
Bond narrowed his eyes and stroked the stubble on his chin, a self-deprecating smile on his face.
六本木ビルズですよ。
A look at the photo showed he was right. There was no sign of the lights from Roppongi Bills. But in the photo that Bond had taken yesterday, the lights from the windows of Roppongi Bills could clearly be seen next to Tokyo Tower. Oh, that's what it is.
で、たまたま見つけたんですが、コーネリアスタワーのホテルロビーにタワー完成当時のパネルが展示してありましてね。そのパネルの一つがこれ。
Bond took out another photo from his folder and pinned it next to the other two. It was another photo from the roof, this time taken during the day, not at night.
六本木ビルズが映ってますよね。建設中ですが。
The murmurs in the room grow even louder. Even Matsunaga was staring at the photo silently, a stern expression plastered on his face.
コーネリアスタワーの完成は2001年。六本木ビルズの完成は2003年。タワー完成当時の写真では当然ながら六本木ビルズは建設中でまだ高さもほとんどない。だが集団ダイブが起きたのは今年2008年だ。映ってなきゃおかしいですよね。六本木ビルズ。ちなみに投稿映像に細工された形跡はなかった。
つまり何が言いたいんだ。
Matsunaga sounded impatient and annoyed.
非常に言いにくいんですが。
まさか先輩、この映像が撮られたのは2003年以前、つまり5年以上前って言いたいんですか？
Hey, come on now, Sua. Bond's shoulders slumped. It was exactly what he was trying to say, and he couldn't help but be impressed by the young detective's intuition and sharp mind. But having somebody come out and say it so directly made him look like a lunatic. Bond's attempts to find the best way to phrase it had all come to naught.
バカバカしい。 小説の読みすぎではないがね。映像に映っている被害者5人の顔は一致しているんだ。あれが5年前のもののはずがない。そんなつまらないことを調べている暇があったら聞き込みの一つでもしたらどうだ、警部補。
ああ。
今のは聞かなかったことにする。それと後で話があるから会議が終わったら残りたまえ。
Bond sighed a little, gave up, and sat down. Well, he hadn't expected it to work out in the first place. He lazily flapped his fan in front of his face, trying to tell himself he'd expected it to go this badly the whole time. Of course, Bond himself had no answer to the question of what Roppongi Bill's not being in the video meant. Yeah, that is weird. After I found out Nanami was alive, a doctor came in and asked me some simple questions. The questions were to see if I was functioning well or not. I gave half-hearted answers as I decided to get out of the hospital before my mom came. I just embarrassed myself on national TV. How was I supposed to face my family? And if Nanami came, I was sure to start crying from sheer joy. And then Nanami would say, "Don't make me worry like that, jerk." She'd be totally serious too, and have no idea what I'd been through. Imagining the embarrassment made me feel almost physical pain. I decided to make a strategic retreat before it actually happened. After eating a small amount of the disgusting breakfast they brought me, I slipped out of my room. I went down to the first floor and through the lobby. Since the hospital wasn't open, the outpatient hall wasn't packed with seniors like it usually was. When I got to the front door, I just walked right out of it. Fortunately, the automatic door opened just like it was supposed to. Leaving the hospital might get the doctors and nurses mad at me, but I could always go back here once everything had calmed down. I'd left a note for my mom telling her to pay my bill. That was good enough, right? I'd spent the night in the hospital, but physically there was nothing wrong with me, and mentally, knowing Nanami was safe had driven a lot of my depression away. I headed back to the base at top speed, being careful to make sure Yua and Shogun weren't waiting in ambush for me. Also, again, hand. I was back. My mental state was completely different than it was when I'd left. Now I felt great, of course. If anything, I wished I could speak to the me who'd left here yesterday. You're about to get trolled, M9. M9? Is that like a... Again, I don't know these dang internet memes. You don't need to worry so much. Nanami's fine, lololol, fwahehe. I'd say something like that. Yesterday had been really awful. Everything had been awful. It started with that weird call in the morning, then the earthquake. Then I'd lost the data on my hard drive. I'd had to witness Ayase's suicide attempt up close. And then there was that email from Shogun, and he sent me a severed hand. Yeah, again, a severed hand. Okay, so if he is going to address it, there's just a severed hand just sitting around here somewhere. Or it's not, and he's going to be like, where did it go? Joy was feeling faded instantly. Because again, maybe that didn't even happen. I don't know what is real. What is real? I gulped and turned toward the fridge. Did he put in the fridge? Did he say he put it in the fridge? I mean, I makes sense, I guess, if you want it to not smell. Again, I don't know what you do. I guess it's a better answer than any. The hand was still inside. Before I'd left, my head had been a total mess. Messed. The best idea I could come up with was to put it inside the refrigerator. I mean, hey, if you don't want it to smell, eventually it'll start smelling. It might rot if I left it out, and the blood smelled really bad too. There were lots of sci-fi anime and movies where people lived for hundreds of years in cold sleep, right? It was kind of the same as that, yeah. Kind of, as in not at all. Yesterday, I'd been really... Oh my god. Reset. Yesterday, I'd been really thinking about... Reset. Just... Words read them. Yesterday, I'd been really thinking that when Nanami was safe, if I'd kept her hand in good condition, maybe they could do an operation and put it back on. Ah. I see. I don't think that's how that works, but that's fair. If that wasn't Nanami's hand, then whose was it? And how to explain the bangle and the phone? If I wasn't mistaken, both of those belonged to Nanami. When I called Nanami's number, that phone had rung. Or maybe that was all part of Shogun's plan. Was it really possible to make such a perfect copy of her hand, though?
もう一度確かめてみるべきかも。
It's not gonna be there. I think it's not gonna be there. I really didn't want to, though. Severed hand was just disgusting. Just imagining it made me want to throw up, even if it was Nanami's. Especially if it was Nanami's. What do you mean? But I couldn't keep it in the fridge forever. I'd have nowhere to chill my soda. He's got his priorities in order. I thought about getting the cops to come get it, but then I remembered they thought I was the new gen killer. It would be suicide to call 110 and tell the operator, "Can you please come get this severed hand?" What should I do? Should I throw it away? But if it was Nanami's, it would be a bad idea to throw it away, right? It's not. We've established that. Could you even put severed human hands in the garbage? Is that against the rules? I like the exact same question. Yeah, what are the protocols for that? If you could, would it be burnable garbage? Non-burnable garbage? I scratched at my head hard. There was no point in thinking about it. For now, I could start by taking another look at the bangle on the wrist and the phone in the hand. I could try and see if they were Nanami's or not. Well, the phone for sure, because it was the one that was ringing when you called it. I stood in front of the fridge and grabbed the handle. I closed my eyes and took a few deep breaths. The idea of having Rimi come in and open it for me crossed my mind. It was tempting, but I quickly discarded it. I feel like even Rimi would she'd be like, all right, this is my limit. I have some questions. Even if Rimi was on my side, a human hand in a fridge would freak her out. She might decide to abandon me and turn me over to the police. I had to deal with this myself. I gritted my teeth. I took 2 more deep breaths. And then I pulled hard on the handle. No hand. It wasn't there. I didn't see it at all. I remembered there was no punctuation on that one, by the way. I don't know why I noticed these things. I'm a typo noticer. Right. I remembered putting the hand in there yesterday. It was wrapped in aluminum foil. I put it on the top shelf, but there's no sign of it. The only things in the fridge were a few soda bottles and a few rotting oranges. Nothing more. Should probably eat those then, before they go bad. It had just disappeared. I crouched down and checked the back too. It wasn't there. There wasn't that much else in the fridge. There was no way I could miss it. Or maybe I was only telling myself that I'd done that and I just left it where it was the whole time. I closed the fridge and looked around my garbage-filled room. The big box with the hand inside. What had I done with it? I thought I remembered throwing it into a corner. My memories of last night weren't clear at all. So much had happened yesterday that it had overwhelmed my brain. Everything had been so crazy that I hadn't had time to think. Calm down, think. Get things straight in your head. Try to figure out why the hand that was there yesterday suddenly vanished. All right, list making. There's some good problem solving skills. That's a good go-to. Make a list. I booted up my PC's word processor and typed out all the possibilities I could think of. All right, what could have made the hand vanish from my fridge? It's a good thing. These are good things to write out on write out where people can see them. Number 1, I was mistaken. I put it somewhere else in the room. Possibility 2, I took it outside and threw it away somewhere yesterday. Possibility 3, Shogun took it. Possibility 4, the police secretly searched my room and took it. Possibility 5, the media broke in and took it. Possibility 6, there was never a hand. Honestly, that's where my money's going. The base had been unlocked since yesterday. Anybody could have come in easily. Shogun had been able to, certainly. That's how he'd gotten the hand in here. Or was it number 2? My memory of what I'd done when I'd left to go to O-Front weren't clear at all. My desire to save Nanami, the images of the severed hand in my head, my fear of Shogun, all of those emotions were swirling around in my head. They filled my brain way past full. I wasn't thinking clearly at all. It was even possible I'd unconsciously taken the hand out of the room and thrown it in the garbage somewhere. Or maybe it was just a delusion from the start and had never existed to begin with. But when I'd opened my email software, the message from Shogun was there. All the stuff about the present was just like I remembered it. Shogun had talked about it yesterday too. It was hard to believe it was just my delusion. Could the media or the police have taken it? Those guys always looked down on otaku like me and treated us like dirt. They might actually do that. He's talking about it like, how dare they come in here and steal my severed hand? Ugh. Walking all over us. After what happened, I was afraid of looking at the internet, but still, I felt like I had to know. I opened my browser. This is also what I'm curious about. Like, did the video situation on the roof, did that actually happen? I hit up my usual news sites, starting with the Taboo News section. Okay, yes, that did happen. As expected, there were countless articles about the incident in Scramble Crossing the other day. The airwave jacking psychic is the otaku version of The Boy Who Cried Wolf. The young new gen boy's psychic power show ended in the worst possible way, as MHK, BTS, and TV Yuhi all ran specials on the earthquake that occurred in Shibuya on the 27th. TV Today and Mount Fuji TV ran live feeds of the event alongside their coverage starting at 9 p.m. Angry calls soon flooded in, however. Scramble Crossing was packed with approximately 5,000 fans, who booed loudly for over an hour after the event ended with nothing happening. Some fans even started fights with each other, and 13 arrests were made. The incident began with a prank call email from a self-proclaimed psychic that we'll be calling Boy N. His email declared that he would identify the killer behind the new generation madness. At first, the media was skeptical. However, when Yuri Brightman, an American psychic investigator, sent a message claiming to be the boy's backer, TV Today and Mount Fuji TV came to believe in the lies he was telling. TV ratings were high, with both TV Today and Mount Fuji TV hitting over the 40% mark. These numbers exceed those of last year's Kohaku Singing Contest, which is typically the highest rated program in Japan. Of course, this was run alongside earthquake coverage, but in a rating sense, the decision to cover the boy was the right one. Boy N, however, was no psychic. He excited the crowd by making it look like he would jump off the building several times, but his performance ended there. Frustrated reporters rushed to the roof and attempted to interview him about the Nugent case, but this too ended in failure. The boy had collapsed on the roof and was found in possession of a cosplay outfit from a popular Hollywood movie, as well as a so-called moe anime figurine. Yoshiro Hashiba, a professor at Meisei University, commented, "More and more young men these days are trying to be a hero without thinking of the trouble they're causing people around them. Video games and anime probably caused him to lose sight of the distinction between fiction and reality, drove him to act in the way he did. He needs psychological care." This incident will go down as one of the stranger events in recent years. I had never emailed the media. I'd never seen Yuri Brightman's show. I'd never met him either, of course. What was going on? Had Shogun set this whole thing up? But why? What was he after? He was saying all that weird stuff about a quest. Why would he even bring in the media to put me on TV if he wanted to force me to get the D-Sword? I couldn't figure it out. What was Shogun trying to accomplish? He'd even let Nanami go. Oh no, stop, please. Oh, this is the worst possible time for this. Stop. Stop. I followed the links and read a bunch of different articles, but none of them said anything about Shogun. There'd been practically no time between when body slammed into Shogun and when the media had shown up. Even if he'd managed to escape somehow, the media must have seen him. There was no way he could get out of there in such a short time, especially since he was in a wheelchair and couldn't walk. I mean, he wasn't in the wheelchair, though. The wheelchair was there, and then he wasn't. So if he did escape, he wasn't in the wheelchair. Your reasoning is faulty, Takumi. I looked at Atchan, too. Of course, the place was in an uproar. Comment after comment was listing my real name. That's rough. Oh boy. That uniform the Nishijo kid's wearing, is that a Suime uniform? Are there any Suime students in this thread? Boy N, lol, what a loser. Die in a fire. Oh man, this is about to get brutal. Nishijo, knock it the hell off. We otaku are gonna get more shit because of you. They found out what figure he was holding. It's Seira from Bloodtoon. Haha, what a creepy little freak. I added words. Creepy otaku losers everywhere in tears. That Nishijo kid should have stayed a hikikomori instead of going on TV. Seira... Nishijo, you dork! I'll blow you away with my awakened rocket body blow. I don't even know if that's a real thing. Depressing. They were all having oh my god, I can't read with text behind text. They were all having their fun at my expense. They were making fun of me without having any idea of how I was feeling. At channel could be really scary when they didn't like you. This has all happened because of Shogun. I thought that maybe Atchan would have information that the media wasn't reporting, but that didn't seem to be the case. Couldn't find anywhere that talked about somebody besides me being up on the roof of Ofred. It was as if the person named Shogun had never been there. Maybe what I'd seen hadn't been the real Shogun, but some kind of illusion. Even if Shogun was real, there was also the possibility that the figure in the wheelchair was just as a hallucination I'd created. So many impossible things were happening. It was like a video game. Maybe there was a world where Nanami was dead, and a world where she was alive. Maybe they were both parallel worlds, and I'd get to pick which one I wanted to live in. And maybe the future branched out endlessly, like the choices in an H game. What made me different from others was that I could see what happened if I picked the bad choice in my delusions. Like with Nanami's dying, and Ayase's jumping, or how I'd fallen off the top of Ofren. In other words, all these awful things that seemed to happen to me specifically were just traps my own mind was setting for me. Part of me wanted to escape from my boring life, where every day was the same, into an exciting world that was more like my video games. My unconscious was just giving that to me in the form of delusions. No, that was impossible. I didn't want anything like what I was experiencing. I didn't want to experience anything scary or sad, whether it was real or not. All these ideas I just thought up were just stupid, childish delusions, weren't they? I sighed and leaned back in my chair, looking up at the ceiling. It was hard to tell what reality even was. I felt like everything was a lie, and my world an empty, hollow place. Ooh, boy. Oh, good. We needed another one of those. River on the 28th. Cause of death, suffocation after eating her own hand and getting the bone stuck in her throat. What the fuck?
今日午後8時頃、渋谷区の渋谷川で女性の変死体が発見されました。被害者は江戸川区に住む十勝あやみさん27歳で、死因は喉を詰まらせたことによる窒息死とみられています。
I mean, comparatively, I guess it's not even close to the weirdest one, but Jesus.
警察の調べによりますと、被害者の右手の肉が削り取られて骨が露出しており、また胃の中からは人間の肉とみられる内容物が見つかりました。
Yeah, I mean, Pregnant Man is still top tier. But that's not cool.
被害者は
That's some
自ら
Hannibal
の右手
Lecter
を噛み
shit.
ちぎって食べたとみられ、また足首が紐で縛られていたとのことです。警察では自殺・他殺の両面から捜査を進めています。
Suicide? That's... That has to be like the most demented suicide of all time. I mean, I guess I probably shouldn't say that, but like I don't, that's that I feel like you start with homicide on that one. That's I don't know how law enforcement works or like investigations, but that I feel like you definitely start with homicide. Okay, I gotta go. I have. This has been a good chunk of story, good chunk of plot. And nothing was learned. I still have no idea. I have less idea of what's going on right now. Well and truly, I'm lost. I'm lost in so many ways. There's no. Right, I have to leave. Okay, bye. I gotta go.